with me, of course, as always, my coach and yours. And actually, I got to see him. So we've been doing the show, Coach. I got to go right there. We've been doing the show. It's almost a year. We've been talking through video, but I got to see him in person today. And I got to tell you, for those who don't believe energy and vibration, I knew he was in the room before I turned around, and he was in the room. But he actually came to my BNI meeting this morning. So, Coach, thank you for making the trip.
Yeah, it was a lot of
So
fun.
awesome to have you.
Yeah, that's a good group. It's a really friendly group. It felt you can tell they've been together for a while. So that was nice.
Yeah, it was, yes, but thank you. And I obviously weekend want to go into that a little bit. And before we bring out our guest, I'm so excited to bring her out. Again, everybody who's joining us, Robinhood Capitalists is 5,000 to 35 million strategically partnered viewers worldwide and growing. We have Traci Lamb, CEO, founder of Caregiving Worldwide Network. I can't wait to get into her story. Coach, we were talking a little bit backstage, but again, the weekend. So Browns game sucked, obviously. I knew it was going to suck. Actually, it was funny. Cooper says, "Dad, this is painful to watch." And I said, "Man, at least we're in the playoffs. Just remember that. We're in.
It was irrelevant. It was irrelevant.
It was irrelevant. But yesterday's game was a heartbreaker. Great season. Obviously, I'm not a huge college football fan, as I've been very honest and said that. But Washington, because of my daughter, has made obviously me, my family, Maggie's family, even her dad. Thank you. He's a huge diehard LSU fan, but man, is he just probably as much a Washington fan. But so it was amazing the journey. She got to experience that. She was actually there in Houston.
That's amazing.
Got to take a picture of her on the screen on the sidelines. So that was super cool.
That is incredibly cool.
I can't wait to talk to her and just hear the stories. Because again, I told her, you better soak this in. Like, this is most athletes, most anybody, like they hope for this, but most never get to see this. So like, this is a once in a lifetime experience. But so yeah, again, heartbreaker. But Coach, I don't want to deep dive too much into the game. We'll probably on the recap show on Thursday. I do want to break it down because I think it, in my opinion, and I kept saying it to Mags, I probably was saying it a little bit angrier then, but I think it came a lot to preparation and coaching. I really think it came a lot to, and what gave, and this is the only thing I want to say, and I don't know if you got to watch the game much, but the JJ McCarthy, shout out to you, kid. You got a good head on your shoulders. If anybody is looking for a quarterback, he said about his preparation, his mindset, and how he really prepared for the game. I think that had to do a lot with probably the coaching, and a lot to do with Jim Harbaugh really understanding the game on the next level, and it had to really just do with that. But Coach, what thoughts, obviously, and then let's...
Well, you know how important we both think mindset is. And in the fourth quarter, McCarthy was on the sideline with his mindset coach, staying in the moment, staying prepared. And so I found that to be quite interesting. That's not something you see. Back first Super Bowl, you had Lynn Dawson at halftime sitting on the sideline smoking a cigarette. So times have changed. Times have really changed. But no, he literally had a mindset coach working with him throughout the game and going into the fourth quarter. I really thought going into the half, I was like, okay, this is going to be a game. And then in the end, I was like, man, I stayed up for nothing.
I know.
We could have gone to bed.
I felt that pain too. But enough of that. So obviously, again, shout out to Washington. You guys, amazing season. But next guest, our first guest of the season, of the year, of this new season. So excited to have her out on. Met her about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. We were both on our own separate journeys. I think at that time I was completely lost on this journey of I just want to help people, and maybe I'm buying a flea market, and maybe I'm getting into franchising. I think it was probably around the time that me and John first connected, and I was working that situation of possibly coming out here. What is this relationship? And she was on her journey. And then I've been cheering it on from the sidelines, again, growing up from someone who is a caregiver. And this is, again, anybody who is a caregiver, and this is not a paid caregiver. If you take care of a loved one, from a child to a grown adult, no matter at any point, if you're taking care of somebody you are on a journey. And I got to live that completely with my mom, taking care of, not only my adopted aunt, then my grandma, to then grandma passing away, to my handicapped aunt, and, just finally finishing that journey only maybe a year or two ago. And so it's quite a journey. I think for a lot of people, and her mission of why she started this was to really help people know that caregiving as the paid job of a nurse, of a doctor, of somebody who is paid to care for somebody versus the unpaid. They have to connect those dots, but I think they need a source or somewhere to go to. And she wanted to create that all-in-one source because of her journey. And what's crazy is, and I didn't know even talking with her a year and a half ago, really the struggle and the journey that she was going through even at the time of creating this. And so to see where it's at, to see where it's gone, I wanted really her to kind of kick that, to start the year of the Robinhood Capitalists.
Yeah, what a mission, because people don't plan for this. They don't go to school for this. They're thrown into the fire and have to figure it out as they go. And so what a great mission to help folks in this situation. This is going to be good. So everybody stay tuned. This is going to be really good.
Well, with that, let's get the intro going, and we're a little bit over, but that's okay. We're going to get this going.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead and feel it all. Don't stop till it is beautiful.
All right, Coach. So if I didn't give her enough of an introduction, I'm going to read a proper introduction. So our guest coming on, Traci Lamb, globally recognized entrepreneur and media personality, who's made a significant impact in the healthcare industry, who has been featured nationally on NBC and ABC. She has been honored as one of the top 100 healthcare visionaries in the world by IFAH, holy cow, in 2019, and as top healthcare influencer in 2020. She's making a difference. She's really making a change, and she's giving caregivers out there, again, whether you're paid or unpaid, somewhere to go for all of the information and resources necessary to make your journey as peaceful and as easy as can be, because it is a tough road, Coach, like you said. So, Traci, hey.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
Well, again, thank you for joining us. And I really just want to get right into your journey, kind of what drove you to want to create your background in healthcare, and what drove you to want to create this network, and and just your experience of it.
Sure. Well, the majority of my background is in hospice. I worked for hospice for about 14 years. And, during that time, I saw what I felt like was a gap in the healthcare industry, and that, anyone taking care of a loved one at home, whether it was a special needs child or all the way up to a grandmother or anybody in between, they didn't have, for lack of a better word, a one-stop shop for them to be able to find products and resources to be able to help them on their caregiving journey. And so in 2019, after I got divorced, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do something about this. I don't know if I can make much of a difference, but I live in Florida, so I figured if nothing else, I could help people in Florida. And so I figured we would start there. And I started, and I by 2021, I had gotten some pretty good traction. Like you say, I had won a couple of awards, international awards. IFA is for the International Federation for the Advancement of Healthcare. That's what it stands for. And So I was named one of the top 100 healthcare visionaries in the world with that. And so I was getting some pretty good traction. And I'm the middle child, older sister, younger brother. My older sister died 15 years ago in a car crash. My younger brother died 5 years ago from alcoholism. And so in 2020, I moved in with both my parents, and they ended up both getting sick right towards the end of 21 or end of 22. Yes, end of 22. It's weird for me. We're in a new year, so I'm like having to kind of like go back. So yeah, the end of 22, September of 22, they both got really sick. And so I really ended up having to put my whole company on hold for the next 11 months. And ended up taking care of my dad until he died. And he died in February of 22. I still take care of my mom. Mom still lives with me. And, when my dad died, I found out he was broke. He was completely destitute, didn't have a dime to his name. And Mom and I were nearly homeless. And we ended up moving in with a very good friend for about 3 months, because it took me 3 months to just find a place that we could live. And I think part of what DJ is talking about is, Mom was only getting $1,600 a month from Dad. And so I didn't even know this was possible. But there was a place in Tampa that they actually take a double wide trailer, and they take a single piece of sheetrock and they put it down the center. And on one side, they call it a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And on the other side, they cut another piece of sheetrock and they cut it in half, and they call it 1 bedroom and a 1 bath. And it's 428 square feet. So I gave my mom the bedroom, and I slept on the kitchen floor for a year. And that's how I built my business, and I was really blessed. I was invited to be on a show in August of that year. My dad got $5,000 when he died. Mom got that $5,000 when Dad died. And so Mom came to me in May of 22, and she said, I want you to take Dad's last $5,000 and go all in your business. And I am a person of faith, and I prayed that night. I was like, God, I literally have no backup plan. Like, I have no husband, I have no kids, my siblings are gone, my dad's gone, everybody's gone. And so I really figured in 90 days that I would be out of business. And the first 90 days, I actually got my first radio show based out of Palm Beach County, Florida. Still on, and I'm on every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 9:30, hit about 150,000 people. And I promote the companies I work with. And then, in January of last year, I was able to make a partnership with a company called CP Communications. And they've been in network TV for over 37 years. And they professionally produce and edit and distribute the show worldwide on their streaming channel, which is RHS TV. And honestly, I had no marketing budget when I started it. I mean, like zero. I figured I was going to be lucky if I had like 10 people watch, close friends and family. And, we ended up, we were really lucky. I mean, the first show, I actually had 1,000 people watch, which I was in shock about. Wow, we got 1,000 people. That was pretty good. And by the time the 12th episode dropped in June, we were at like over 600,000 across 7 countries. Wow. And so then we kind of had a thing going. So that was really good. And then I got really blessed. We were able to, in November of 23, we were able to drop my newest show, which was Safe and Sound. And that was really exciting. That's kind of a really novel concept that I came up one day. I just decided, it'd be really cool to have kind of like a QVC for caregiving meets an Angie's List for caregiving, and have a place where you could have multiple vetted products by healthcare professionals on a show, and then people to be able to buy the products on the show, and then also be able to go to a website and be able to see even more products. And so that's what we created. And it was a crazy creation, but I've been really, really happy. I was very blessed. All the people that worked on that project from start to finish were absolutely, completely amazing. I was really blessed. There were 10 companies, God love them, that decided to be brave enough to go with me and launch into the unknown. Because whenever, you start something totally from scratch, it's like, okay, you're creating the wheel, literally. So it was really kind of a novel concept even for RHS, because they had never really done anything like that. And so it was a novel concept for them to even shoot it. And so it was just, but it ended up being done really, really well. I was very happy and I'm very proud of it. And we're going to continue it this year, and just very, very blessed. So.
Coach,
that's already incredible.
I know, right? So I'm going to share some of this. So I do have some graphics. So what she is talking about is Caregiving Worldwide Network, and is where you can download it and view it on the RHS TV app, which you can download on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, really anywhere you can download a Google or iOS app today.
There's so many questions I've got, DJ, but the one that really came to mind, you had the business and then you had to stop and then you had to restart. Was it the same focus from the beginning, or did it change after you got the experience of working with your parents?
Honestly, it's like I was even saying to you before the show started, I tell people all the time, when I worked with hospice and even when I started my business, I could easily talk the caregiver talk. I had talked to so many patients for so long in the healthcare industry, but I really had not had to walk the caregiver walk. And it really is very different once you've been in it. I truly did not understand how overwhelming it can be, how much it literally can affect your whole life. I mean, it affects you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I mean, in every single capacity, financially. I mean, in every single capacity, it affects you. And you don't really understand that until you get in it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about what I do, is that people are just like me. They're like, okay, I will deal with that when that comes. When the time comes, I'm going to deal with that. But until then, I got other things I got to do, And the problem is that life changes on a dime. It literally changes on a dime. I literally went from both of my parents being fairly independent and able to do their own thing, go to restaurants and everything, to literally within like a week, everything changed. I mean, literally everything changed. And you can't explain that until you're in it.
And I think that's what I love about you having and creating this network is I think there's a lot of people, and I hear it from the people as I'm talking to more people about caregiving with being involved in it, and just what you realize is everybody has a story in some way. And I was just looking for the post, but it was like, you're either one of four, somebody who needs caregiving, is getting care, but like there is at some point in your life, this is an experience almost like death. And it's one of those things that people are so afraid to talk about, or almost feel guarded to talk about, that they don't really know where to go. And then, like you said, it's now you need to figure it out, and you have no idea where to even. And that's what I think, Coach, we talk a lot about on the show, is there's now so much information. Here you'd find a lot, but a lot of it is weeding through. Is it useful? Is it not? Is it real? Is it not? And so
right.
Like now finding actual good sourced information is even harder. So when the idea of Safe and Sound, the idea of caregiving, and just having this source that is backed and just for information for anybody who at any level, because that's another thing I think, there's paid caregivers, which they understand that. My wife, Maggie, being a caregiver, yeah. she gets it. But yeah. Then there's a lot of people who aren't paid caregivers, so they don't carry that title, or they don't even resonate to that as a source of needing help or guidance. But like you said, you feel alone or on an island. So was that really the driving force in the end to push through? Because again, people talking about, and Coach, you nailed it, having to stop, and something like this where it's like this is a vision that even me, I have crazy ideas and visions, and this is a big vision, and to go through like having to stop your family. Was it that driver, or what really pushed you to want to keep going, like Coach said?
It's really crazy. When I first decided to start the business, my dad was a marketing genius. I mean, I get my whole sales marketing thing totally from my dad. I mean, he and I would have so much fun whenever I would talk to him about all of this, because he was just like, okay, let me give you some ideas, and we would just sit there, and my mother would just go, oh my word, they're off to the races again, so it was like, because she's like totally not that way. So
Okay.
yeah, what was interesting though was after about a year of me trying it, and I wasn't getting a lot of traction or doing anything, Dad was like, Trace, he goes, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you're too old to start a business. He goes, maybe you should just go get a job. And I know he was worried because, I had gotten divorced, and he knew, he wasn't a spring chicken anymore. And so he knew he couldn't necessarily help me a lot anymore. And so it was interesting that he said that, but it hurt, because I was like, he was kind of like my champion, and we had our thing, and I was like, okay, this is not really cool. But what was interesting was that before he passed, I had, he looked at me. I went to visit him one time without Mom, and he looked at me and he goes, Trace, I know you're not doing anything right now, but I want you to do your job. I want you to do what you started. And I said, well, Dad, I don't know. I mean, at this point I was like way focused on something else, but I said, I don't know. And he goes, no, I really do. He goes, I want you to do it. And he goes, and don't quit. He goes, you understand? Don't quit. And I was like, okay. And so I told him I would not quit. And, between remembering that I promised him, and then knowing that I had the responsibility of taking care of my mom. My brother and sister were gone. My dad and her were married for 60 years. My dad was gone. It was just like, even though a lot of things happened over the last 18 months, that there was more than once. Mom has even said to me before, she's like, you were going to quit that time, weren't you? And I'm like, yeah, I really was. There was a couple of times I went to bed and I was like, yep, that's it. I'm done. I'm way done.
Coach, how many franchisees have that story?
Man, just 3 feet from goal.
That's exactly what my mom and my cousin, I have a first cousin, her name is Sharon, and she has been with me since day one. And she would always tell me the 2 or 3 times that I wanted to quit, she would say, Traci, what if it's only 30 days away? What if you're just 30 days away from just it being amazing?
Fabulous question.
Yes, I agree. Just the what if you just what if, just ask yourself that always. Why? I love that. Yes, great question.
It was, and she would make me really think about that, because I would think, okay, I'll just try it for 30 more days and see. And then in the last 60 days, it's just become insane. It's the last 60 days. It's just been absolutely insane. Completely insane.
I want to talk about the last 60 days, but I got a question before that. When you restarted, what was the big need or needs that you wanted to fulfill?
Sure. I had thought once back before, what was really crazy was I had always thought it would be really cool to get on TV. Not because of the fact that I wanted to be on TV personally, because I didn't. But I thought you can hit. I am very definitely a dreamer and a visionary. Everybody who knows me in my life knows I think big. It's very hard for me to stay compact. It's really, really hard for me. I do a lot of the squirrel thing, so I have to really focus. It's really hard, but I have to really focus. Honestly, I knew if I ever could get on TV, even just for one time, not even to have a series, that blew my mind just to be able to do that. But I knew I could hit so many more people. It was like radio. I originally started actually with a podcast, and I was doing a podcast, and then I got the opportunity to do radio. And I just happened to ask the lady. I had no idea about analytics or, that mass media, all mass media is pay to play. You have to pay in order to do it. I mean, it's just, that's the nature of it. I had no idea though. I had never done any of it. And it was so wild because I was podcasting, and I had like 10 or 20 people that were listening to me. I mean, it was not anything. And I said, so how many people listen every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 9:30? And she goes, about 150,000 people. I'm like, okay, well, that would be a better deal. I can help a few more people if I do it that way. So I think we'll just go over to radio. And then, like I say, when I got the opportunity to visit on TV, Serena Fazan, she's an Emmy award-winning TV anchor. She's right here locally, and she asked me to be on her show because she heard what I was doing. And so I went, and they asked what I was doing. Well, what are you doing? Why did she bring you here? So I told them, and I said, there's really nothing about caregiving on TV, and it's crazy. I said, there's over 58 million just in the US alone. I said, it's insane. And I said, somebody should do something about that. And so that was really kind of what started the conversation. And what was insane was I walked out to my car because they said they would be willing to talk to me about it. I walked out to my car and I sat down in my car and I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? Do I know what I've gotten myself into? I don't know, but I love a challenge. I love being able to be told. I've always kind of been the one that if you tell me you can't do that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to see if I can try and do it.
Was the radio, was that like a call-in show? People call in with questions about
it's Legends Radio. It's based out of Palm Beach County, Florida. It's been around for like 40 years. And it's a very strategic senior audience. So they listen a lot. And I co-host it with a woman. She calls herself Medicare Miriam. And she actually, she answers questions about Medicare because, there are so many questions about Medicare. People don't understand Medicare. I've even told her, I said, I've been in healthcare for 14 years and I still don't understand Medicare. And it's crazy. I mean, they really do make it very, very difficult. And so she answers questions during half the show about Medicare. And then I always talk about different companies that I want to promote. So, lately I've been promoting all my companies that are on Safe and Sound, and letting people know about the companies that are on Safe and Sound, and they can go to the TV shows or the website and be able to find out about those.
Cool. And what kind of companies are you promoting? Are they like durable medical equipment companies? Or?
No, and that was part of the reason why, again, I wanted to create what I created because, there are so many fantastic caregivers that they get in a caregiving space and they realize, hey, my dad or my mom has this problem with this particular issue. And is there anything out there that can help me? And then they all Google to see if they can find something that can help them. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing out there that can help them with this particular problem. So they get creative enough to they actually create these things. I mean, it's amazing. All of them have created amazing products that I wish I had known about all of them when my dad was dying, all of them, because they're amazing. There's one called AFO Assist. My mom used to help my dad put on shoes all the time. I mean, like all the time, because my dad was a heavier man. AFO Assist makes it to where my dad could have put on his own shoes. It's amazing. Wow. Then, and again, this was created by a woman who said she had the same problem as with my dad. She had to help her husband put on his shoes all the time. So she decided to create something that would fix that problem. Mobility Towel. Mobility Towel was created by a woman named Kathleen Quinn. Kathleen, her mom, did not like the fact that when she got to where she would shower, she could not dry her back and dry herself by herself. And it was embarrassing. She wanted to keep her dignity. So Kathleen created a towel that has like weights sewn into the bottom. And so the towel is weighted. So you can actually flip it over your back and it actually dries your back and it stays down. And so you get to keep your dignity and you get to dry yourself and you don't have to call somebody to dry you off from the shower. I mean, and all of the products that are on there are so many fantastic products that people, I mean, even, and Tausi's another one. Janice created a pillow for neck. You know, a lot of times when you go into nursing homes, you see people that, you know, their neck is over like this on the side. And, you know, the same thing happened with her dad. She visited her dad and her dad was like that. And she tried all these different pillows that were normally out there, you know, the airport neck pillows. I mean, she tried them all. None of them would work. So she went home and she got creative and she created Tausi. And I mean, you know, it's a pillow that actually supports your neck and it makes it to where your neck won't fall over either way. And I mean, that pillow can be used by anybody. You know, it was funny for a while. I just had one and my mom and I argued about it. So now we have two. And so now she gets one and I get mine. But it's seriously though, there are so many different products that people come up with that are so fantastic. And that's why I wanted to create Safe and Sound, you know, and have a place where people can see these fantastic products that these people created.
That's awesome. You mentioned, you know, people Googling. My parents are 89 and 86. My dad's a loyal viewer. So probably watching. Hey, Daddy, if you're watching. But we've Googled a lot of these things, you know, from helping them get up and down from the chairs to bed rails and bathroom and shower equipment. And there's so many options and it's impossible to decipher, is this really good or not? And so having a resource is a wonderful idea. I can really relate and see how that could be incredibly helpful.
It is, you know, the reality is too, and to have it, I think, vetted by healthcare professionals is important. I really do believe that. You know, you can easily go to you know, and it's not that they're bad. You can easily go to an HSN or, you know, QVC or whatever and be able to see, you know, various different products. But at the end of the day, you're not really sure if what you're paying for is actually going to do what it says it's going to do.
Oh yeah. We've had to return some things for sure.
Yeah, and that's the way that it is. You know, if you can see that, you know, healthcare professionals have tried these and that they actually work and everything like that, it's amazing the difference. And that's what I really wanted. You know, that was the goal with Safe and Sound, and that is the goal. You know, and I really do want to make it to where I now have companies literally worldwide that are calling me and that want to be on the show and want to be on the website and, you know, all different kinds of things. And that's why I was like, DJ, I need help. Because, you know, I really do want to make it to where, especially by the end of this year, that we can have it AI driven, you know, and people can go in there and say, okay, my mom's got Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia, and all the resources will be able to come up and be able to help them. So.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And so everybody, what you're looking for is Safe and Sound. That's Caregiving Worldwide Network, Safe and Sound. And then Traci, I do want to talk about these. So you have, besides Safe and Sound and Caregiving Worldwide Network, I also Healthcare Innovators in Business.
Yep.
And in heels.
Yeah.
And
we have multiple shows that are going to be coming out this year. You know, again, I'm a big vision person. You know, I tend to kind of go, okay, really big, you know, and I now have a board of advisors and they have to kind of sit there and go, okay, Traci, we're only doing so much. They have to kind of rein me in, because I mean, if I had my druthers, you know, we'd be doing everything this year. You know,
just don't let them stifle your creativity. Your creative mind is what's working.
It is true. It is so true. So yes, we have multiple new series coming out this year. I am so super stoked. We do have a couple of celebrities that have agreed to actually bring brand new series to the network. I can't actually say who they are yet because the lawyers will kill me. But I can say that they have agreed, and we are super excited. They are going to be hosting those shows, and they are going to be brand new series. So that's going to be fantastic for the entire network. But they're going to be really, really good. I'm very excited about that. We're also going to be having one of the newest shows that I'm really excited about. It's going to be called Health Vision, and it's basically going to be kind of like The View. And we're going to have 6 hosts, all from the healthcare industry, that are completely different backgrounds. And they're going to all kind of sit on a panel. And then every week we'll have 2 guests come in. And so we'll talk about different subjects as they come in. I mean, my goal, part of the reason I started the company was because there's such a lack of education. You know, people just don't know. You know, the really sad part is that, and my parents were a good example. You know, they thought, my mom said to me when we had to put dad in a facility, she says, well, Medicare and Medicaid will pay for all that, right? And I'm like, no, they'll pay for 100 days. And then we're done. And, you know, people don't understand all the ins and outs and ups and downs, and there's no way you can. But if we can just kind of help educate people on some of those different things, then that would be really, really wonderful. Because there's just, I mean, and that's just one of many things. I mean, hospice, I never understood hospice either until I started working for them. When I tell people my dad was with hospice for 2 years, they kind of look at me in shock and they're like, huh? How can that be? So there's a lot of lack of education. And so if there's any way, I really want the whole network to be positive. Everything's going to be positive and uplifting.
Well, it was just very recently that I learned that hospice has things other than end of life care. I didn't know that until just like a week or 2 ago.
Yeah. And you know, the reality is, and this is one of the interesting nuances, I never knew about it until I worked for them, is that, so there's several different diseases that are terminal. Like both my parents had congestive heart failure, or CHF, and COPD. Alzheimer's and dementia also fall into this category. All of those are all terminal diseases, okay? But you can live with all of them for a really long time. My dad lived with them both for 15 years. My mom's lived with them both for 8. So you can live with them. The thing is that when you get to a certain place where you are just continuing to decline, it doesn't mean that you're dying today, but you are continuing to decline, then you can actually be taken under hospice care now. My dad had CHF and COPD, and he started to decline, you know, and he wasn't dying right then. It was so funny. I said to him, Dad, I'm going to have a hospice nurse come out and see you. And he goes, I'm not dying. And I said, I know, but you're not doing great and Mom needs help. So we're going to have a hospice nurse come out and check on you. And it was so ironic because they did take him under care. And as long as you continue to decline, then they will keep you under care. That's why they kept my dad under care for 2 full years. Mm-hmm. And what was ironic was that he got to where he would get up, if he had a bad night, he would get up and say, Traci, you need to call that hospice nurse. She needs to come out here and check on me. And I'm like, oh, you mean the hospice nurse you didn't want to have, but now you're okay with it? Okay, we'll go ahead and call. It was hilarious, but that is hilarious. Military, so you know he was a stubborn patient at best.
Yeah, a lot of especially our unpaid caregivers, you know, the first thing they tend to let go is themselves, and so even the self-care support is really important, and I know you're into that as well.
Yeah. You know, I didn't realize how important self-care was until I got into caregiving, as far as like having to live it. You know, you don't realize how worn down you are and how much lack of sleep you're getting because you're worried about your person, until all of a sudden, you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm really tired. You know, and it's just, because it can be exhausting. Like I say, it's even mentally, emotionally exhausting, because the really hard part about it is that, you know, especially when you get deep into it, is that, I mean, you're basically watching your person die in front of you. And this is somebody you really love and somebody you really care about. And trying to come to terms with that while you're still caring for them, I mean, it's just a lot. You know, and so that's one reason too why I try to advocate for people to get hospice at the right time, because they have social workers that can come out and talk to you or talk to the family. They have, you know, chaplains that can come out and talk to you or the family, and you know, they have all different kinds of free resources that people can kind of tap into that they don't even really know about. And it is important to take care of yourself, because honestly, it's kind of like My mom tells me all the time, she says, Traci, you have to take care of you because if something happens to you, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it is true. It is true. So
it is very true. And I think, again, it goes back to, like you said, it's one of those things a lot of people don't want to talk about openly. They're not willing to really, and so it's a great community thing that you're kind of building with this. That even if they don't want to freely talk about it, they can watch this information. They can watch these resources. They can start to feel like, okay, I'm not the only one feeling like this. I'm not. There's no, because most people who are having to do this, they still this is a full-time job that most people get paid for, but then they still have a full-time job in life, maybe in family, maybe a lot of other things that they're trying to do. And so yeah, I think, and most people who are willing to step up in this way, they're a special person. Again, to do this, to be willing to it really is a sacrifice. In the biggest way possible. And so to do this, they're already willing to kind of not think of themselves to begin with. So yeah, I think really having a big focus on you got to take care of yourself. It's the whole idea of they say in the airplane, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first because you have to take care of yourself first. Otherwise you're not going to be able to take care of those you have to take care of.
You feel like you're on an island sometimes, and until DJ started telling me these things, I had no idea there was over 50 million unpaid caregivers that were going through the exact same thing. So that sense of community has got to help too, I would think.
Oh yeah, for sure. The reality is that, and that's one reason why, again, I put on my LinkedIn posts, all the time, because I believe it's so true. It takes a village. All of this is a much bigger problem than I alone could handle or help or any way. Really, it's all about all of us working together to help amplify what the situation is and help solve some of these situations. If it weren't for all these, like I say, fantastic people who created phenomenal products, I couldn't have created any of those things if my life depended on it. I mean, I can barely cut a straight line. I mean, it's bad, So we all have our gifts. That's definitely not mine. So there's a reason why. But, it's phenomenal. They were all able to get creative and be able to do the wonderful things that they've been able to create. And these are things that people need to know about. Like I say, I wish I had known about half of these products when my dad was sick. They're really needed, and knowing that there's a community of people out there that have gone through just what you're going through, like I say, somebody else went through having to help put on shoes, all the time for my dad. So guess what? They went through the same thing. That's why they created it. It lets you know, okay, like you say, I'm not alone. And I got really blessed too, in that, my parents showed me from an early age how to be a caregiver, because when I was 14, I actually got epilepsy and started having grand mal seizures. And for the next 3 years, all through high school, I had 2 or 3 grand mal seizures every day, and, had seizures, literally everywhere, in restaurants, at high school, on the bus, in classes, in choral things. I mean, it was literally everywhere, and I would wake up and I'd have 12 faces all looking at me like, okay, you keeled over. And I was like, okay, this isn't good. Wow. But what was interesting was that, when I had my first one, they took me to the hospital and they told my parents I either had a brain tumor or I had epilepsy. And I was 14. And the doctors ran tests on me for 3 days, and I had multiple seizures in the hospital. And then they ended up coming in 3 days later, and they told my parents out in the hall. And both my parents came in and they said, guess what? Great news. You have epilepsy. And I'm like, I don't even know what it is. And they were like, well, the good news is we can give you medication and you're going to live, And so it was like, for them, it was a relief, because epilepsy at least was treatable, at least in their mind. So, and I'm not trying to diminish, brain tumors or anything, but it was just, for them, it was a relief. And they never treated me like I was disabled. They told me from even that day, they were like, you know what, you're going to have the life you want to live. You know, you're never going to live like you're a disabled person. You're always going to do what you want to do. And you know what? I still have epilepsy. It is still very active. They told me I would grow out of it. I still have it. Even now, take medication every single day. If I don't take my medication, I'm going to have a seizure. But, you know, and I've had to watch a few of the things that I do in life, but for the most part, I've lived the life that I wanted to live. And I think that's the key, is that you have to understand that, you know, it's about caring for other people. It's about others. It's about serving other people. And that's what, for me, that's what it's all about.
Now, I actually am very familiar with epilepsy. My sister had the younger version of epilepsy. So, long story short, but my dad had worked on a Andy Allenson. Shout out to you. But he was a Rookie of the Year for the Cleveland Indians back in the day, catcher. But worked on his car, and he gave my dad tickets to Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. And it was me and my family, and that was the first time that my sister had a seizure, was at the circus, and she fortunately did grow out of it. But yeah, it was that is quite an experience and quite a journey.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that adds another whole layer to your story. That's amazing.
It really does. That's wild. But
you know, it's all about it. Like I say, truly, it's all about community. It's all about everybody lifting each other up together. You know, it's all about, that's why it's funny. People ask me, you know, who are going to be the hosts for all your shows? And I'm like, not me. Other people, not me. Because it's not about me. You know, it's about other people, and it's about lifting everybody up, and it's about finding solutions for all these problems, because we're all in the aging line. So we're all going to age together. So, you know, if we can, it's almost like retirement. You know, if you can plan for retirement, then you're going to have a good retirement. If you don't plan, then you're going to get to the age of 75 and you're going to go, holy crap, I have no money. You know, well, same philosophy, in my opinion, with aging. You know, you really need to look at it as, okay, what do I need to do? You know, I need to have advanced directives, and people need to know what I want to do and how I want to do it, because my sister, I talked to her on a Wednesday night and told her, we laughed, talked, and told each other we loved each other. And Thursday morning at 10:30, she was gone. And, you know, she left a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old and had no power of attorney, no will, because she didn't think at the age of 47 she'd be gone. And, you know, life changes so quickly. So you need to remember that the people you love are going to be left behind.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I did. So in one of my millions of jobs, I sold pre-need or cemetery sales, but pre-need. And I'll tell you, it's very similar to this in the caregiving world. I think it's one of those things that we kind of like avoid to talk about. It's not something you're at the dinner table like, hey, so let's talk about you dying soon, and let's talk about when you're going to need us to take care of you. Like, nobody wants to talk about that. But like you mentioned, we all know one thing, and there's one certainty, and at some point time ends. Like, it does end, and things do have to happen, and things have to be prepared, but we just don't want to talk about it. And
I agree. You know, the thing is that my dad didn't want to talk about it. You know, but there are ways that you can bring it up, you know, and not think about it being
I'm immortal until proven otherwise.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people in that camp, for sure. There's a lot of people in that camp. Unfortunately, I've had way too much death in my life to unfortunately think that I can survive it. But it is definitely a nice thought, for sure.
We all live forever.
the mission and the story is so powerful. I hate to drift back over to that last 6 months, but I'm really curious because you've had such explosive growth. And if we could talk about the business just a second, number one, what was a tipping point that kind of got you to where all of a sudden it just took off, and then just kind of tell us about the 6 months.
Yes.
It's actually only been the last 60 days, and the tipping point. Honestly, I think Safe and Sound was part of it, just because of the fact that it is a novel concept, and then I did do 3 national interviews. I went on Good Morning Washington, and was interviewed on Good Morning Washington, and I went on Bloom, and I also went on Daytime, and that was NBC, and ABC. And I talked about Caregiving Worldwide Network, and I specifically talked about Safe and Sound. And I'm going to be doing all of that again this year, going on and doing national interviews as well. But I think by me kind of drawing national attention to everything really kind of got the eyes of some key contacts, and people realized, okay, I think she may actually be onto something, I'm very, very blessed. It's been really, really good. Like I say, I've kind of been able to kind of tap into the celebrity world, which is really, that was my long-term vision. I really didn't think that, honestly, it would happen this quickly. Truthfully, I mean, that's just being totally honest.
So how does a connection like that happen? If you had no tie into the world at all, was it really just from a national?
It was no. It was a couple of different ways. One was one of them was actually already tied to another caregiving organization. And so when I connected with that particular caregiving organization, they were telling me that, and I said, well, I've been looking for, I've been thinking about having a celebrity to be the spokesperson for my network. And so they said, well, we can all have a talk. And I'm like, okay, I'm all right with that. And then what was really crazy was on LinkedIn, I connected with somebody else, and this particular person was just so totally plugged into that whole world. They have been in that whole world for their whole career. Both of them. It's a husband and wife couple, and I mean, whoever she doesn't know, he knows, and whoever he doesn't know, she knows. I was joking with both of them, and I said, in 2025, because I love music, I'm like a music freak. I love it. I played in a band, and I play keyboards and all this crazy stuff. But anyway, I was telling them how in 2025, because my board won't let me do it in 2024, that in 2025, I would love to, because this is squirrel again, but that in 2025, I really would love to have, like a big music festival, where like in Nashville, and somewhere where a lot of people could come, and we could have a lot of different types of music stars, and do like a telethon for raising money for caregivers, to help them in a lot of different ways, and even people in the mental health space, because I really want to support the mental health space as well. I even want to support the recovery addiction space. I really want to pull all of that in, and one of the couple said, "Oh, well, I know the director of CMAs, so we can probably make that happen." And I'm like, okay, then there we go. So we'll do that.
So you're just out there any and everywhere taking big swings. That's awesome.
Listen, my dad, the one thing that he taught me, and I must have seen him do it over and over again. He said, "Traci, never be afraid to ask." He said, because all they can say is no. He said, never be afraid to ask. And that was what happened even with TV. I figured, okay, I'm going to ask. They could say, okay, they'll either say no. They can say, well, sure, but it's going to cost you $250,000, which is the same as no for me. I don't have $250,000. So I was like, okay, well, and or they were going to say yes, and they ended up saying yes, and it ended up being a doable thing. And so now that that's happened, I'm like, okay, well, I have no problem asking. You know, if you say no, then you say no, but I'm going to ask.
So before we wrap this up, I do want to go back to, we have Traci Lamb of the Caregiving Worldwide Network, and I'm put up, and the app that you can find this on is RHS TV. So if you do know a loved one, you have family members, somebody you know, and I just popped up also I'll leave that up for a few seconds, but that you can take a picture of that or save that for later. That'll take you right to the RHS TV app or website to download the app right on your Android, Roku, Amazon, or anything you see listed there. But again, free streaming service to give all of this information to your loved ones and help them on their journey of caregiving, and to find all of this information that Traci clearly is bringing to the network. But super. So we got to wrap this up. This has been amazing. So thank you, obviously, for joining us. Shared where you can find us at. Again, I'll share the graphics one last time for everybody, and then Traci, if you just want to give some final thoughts, and then Coach, if you have any final thoughts as well.
Yeah, I will just say, anybody who wants to go to the website, they can go to safeandsound.media is the website where you can find all the different products and resources, the phenomenal products that all these people have done. You can go to Caregiving Worldwide to find me, or you can go to rhstv.com or any of the downloads as well to find me. I really appreciate you guys having me. I love sharing my story just because as you can probably tell, I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I love helping people. I really, really do. It's just, I guess God just gave me a big heart. So I wear my heart on my sleeve, but that's okay. But I really just want to, I know what it's like. I caregive with my mom every day. And so I know what it's like to still be in the caregiving space, and whatever I can do to ever help people, I want to do it.
Well, all I know is I think your dad would be very pleased with the results of the $5,000, because $5,000 must be the greatest investment ever to have created a network of 35 million caregivers that you're helping. That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, it was absolutely terrifying, I will tell you, when I went on, and the day I quit that job, that full-time job, I was like, well, in fact, I even told the company, I said, can I come back in about 90 days? If this doesn't work out. And they were so nice. They said, yes, absolutely. They said, if you need to come back, you can come back. So I was like, okay, good. So thankfully I didn't have to go back, but here we are.
So Coach, I'll leave you with some final thoughts, and then we'll wrap this up. But so Coach, she did take Becky Wolf. Shout out Becky. She did take the Giant, and you won't be surprised probably too much. She is a connector creative like us, but a pioneer. So she, unlike the nurturer side, she has the pioneer side, which I think is a powerful combination. Becky, we'll have to find out. You have to let us know. But again, yeah, it's Traci. Thank you for just
thank you so much.
Coming on and sharing your story and what you're doing for caregivers. Again, everybody, if you know somebody who's taking care of a loved one at all, whether 2 years old to 105, if they're taking care of them, they probably are struggling in some way. It is a struggle. It is a journey. It does feel like an island on your own. Really, Caregiving Worldwide Network and Safe and Sound, clearly media is there to help it be a little bit of an easier journey. And really just a community that's out there to help you. So if you do know somebody who is going down that road, who is, if you're one, again, I couldn't find the quote. I'll put it out there later. But it was
Rosalind Carter said it. Rosalind
okay.
Carter.
Can you quote it? Do you know it?
Yeah, it basically says there are 4 kinds of caregivers. Either you've been a caregiver, you'll need a caregiver, you'll want a caregiver, or you will be the patient. You'll be the one that needs the caregiver. So yeah, that says there are 4 kinds of people. And it is true. I tell everybody, caregiving will eventually touch everybody. So whether it's your parents, your spouse, your child, or a friend, somebody's going to need it, or you yourself.
Or you, yeah.
One of you is going to need it. So, and then you're going to be like, holy crap, what do I do? And that's where we come in.
Yes. So if you do find yourself on that journey, again, you're not alone. Please know you're not alone. There are people out there for you, amazing people like Traci and everybody who's part of the Caregiving Worldwide Network. So again, please reach out. Please share this. Again, download the app and share it with everyone. I'll throw the graphic up one last time, and then can't wait to break this down with you, Coach. Thursday's going to be a fun show. I want to get into the coaching again of the game, and want to break down this because I'm sure you're going to have so many thoughts and ideas. Obviously, with the experience, I want to kind of relate the similarities of just a crazy, massive growth of comparison to your experience with Liberty Tax and that, because not many people experience that, just that overnight almost feeling. And but just as quickly as it could go positive, it could go bad. So
it takes years of lead up, and then it's overnight. But
that's very true. That's very true.
Good point, Coach. But until Thursday, y'all. Again, I'm DJ. This is Coach Stacey B. You can find him at Coach Stacey B if you need somebody to keep you guided. But just remember, feed the good wolf, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Traci.
All right.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just an